So here's kind of a straightforward way to try and figure out overlapping action in something like an arm. It can seem quite complex because you've got basically this part swinging like a pendulum, and then this part attached to it also swinging like a pendulum, and then this part. But what I tend to do is kind of work in a layered way, and I'll just block out the initial poses for the upper arm first. So I've got that swinging back and forward. I've got the extreme actually on frame 4, which is the down pose rather than the contact pose. This is the old Richard Williams thing. We'd like the extreme to match the feet, but it doesn't. And he says in the book you can kind of ignore that, but I think it's a nice thing to put in. I can get rid of that key. I don't really need that key. So this is a very simple curve. It's just swinging back and forward. And then I want to just start thinking about how I'm going to do something with the elbow. But a simple way to think about it is almost like that old trick what the magicians do when they pull a tablecloth out from underneath stuff and the stuff stays in the same place. It's just inertia. Basically, and what that trick or gag, whatever it relies on, is the speed. The faster something's moving, the more inertia it's going to create for anything attached to it. You can actually see it in the graph editor where this is moving fastest. It's slowest here and here at these kind of peaks in the curve where it starts smoothing out, and it's faster here around frame 9 or frame 10 because that's where the curve is. If I zoom in a bit, it's the steepest. That's a way to kind of think about it. So I've got frame 4 and frame 16 and 10. So I'm going to key this on frame 4, frame 16 and 10. And then I'm going to look at the other one where it's coming back. It's going to be a little bit more complicated because it's kind of over the loop. So it's going to be like frame here, technically. I'll fix this in a minute. But I can just set a key there. And then halfway between those, so I'll set a key there in frame 22. And now it's fairly straightforward. Now I look at where it's coming from. So it's coming from the front, so I want it to drag back. It's actually rotate Y in this case. I don't want to rotate Z in this case. I want to keep it very anatomically believable that it's just rotating in one axis. So I bend it back and rotate Y. And then on frame 22, I'll drag it. So I'll straighten the arm a little bit and rotate Y. And then I need to fix. This isn't, the same cycle as my loop, so I'm just going to key it here on frame 25, and then middle mouse, so let's use the timeline for that, back to this frame, and then I'll just get rid of that extra key. I only just put that in because I needed to figure out where the extreme was, and then I'll just hit fix loop tangents on cycle tools because that'll get rid of that, and then I'll just clean this curve up a little bit. I'll just look at the curve, and like I did with the other one, I don't really need that or that. They're just kind of adding noise. So now I've got a really simple curve. But you see there, we've got a nice bit of weight to the arm now. And I can push them. I can push this one more. I like to usually have it drag more in this direction because the way our anatomy works, there is actually a kind of a little bit that sticks out of the elbow at the back where actually, your elbow can bend a lot more forward. There's a limit to the back, how much it can swing. We push that a little bit in cartoony stuff. We kind of straighten it out a bit more than we might naturally do it. That's probably a little bit too much, but we get the idea. And then you just follow the same principle then for the wrist. But now you're looking at the elbow because the wrist is attached to the elbow. And that way it becomes fairly simple. There's a few other things to think about with the wrist as well, what axis you use. A lot of people tend to do quite a lot this axis, which isn't actually realistic. We don't tend to bend that much. If you're trying to do it with your own hand, we don't bend that much in that axis. We've a lot of range of motion in this axis and in this axis. So what I often do is maybe have the hand leading its way a little bit on the way up and drag it back in that way. It just looks a bit more natural than this kind of thing. You'll see that in a lot of beginner animators, and it just looks a bit weird because our wrists, they've only got about maybe 30 degrees in that axis, that kind of thing. Whereas they've loads here and here. And they have twists there. That's actually the forearm bones, the radius and the ulnar are twisting there. So just be careful of that. Don't overdo it in this axis because it can kind of look weird. If you want to have a lot of flexibility, what I would often do is do that and that. Have it swing up like that and then drag back. That's just a rough example, but we'll look at that separately. But try that with the elbow and see how you get on. Cheers.